Imagine stepping into a kitchen that feels alive before a single burner is even lit. You hear the faint clatter of pans, the hum of a refrigerator, the subtle shuffle of ingredients waiting to be chosen, and it's almost like they're whispering, "Cook with me today." This is the space we're building together, a place where recipes come to life, not with stiff instructions, but with energy, rhythm, and a sense of play. Because the truth is, food isn't just about eating, it's about creating a story. And today, you and I are about to tell 12 of them, each one with its own flavor, each one its own adventure. So let's begin where everyone secretly loves to start, with speed. Because nothing is more satisfying than a recipe that gets from counter to plate before you can even scroll halfway through a social feed. That's why we call it Speedy Recipes in 1 minute. Think about it. You're standing there with a handful of pasta, a jar of sauce, maybe a stray clove of garlic rolling around on the counter. And in 60 seconds, you've made something so comforting, you almost forget how fast it happened. The magic isn't in the rush. It's in realizing that delicious food doesn't need to be complicated. A salad with crisp lettuce, juicy tomatoes, a drizzle of olive oil, a splash of vinegar toss, plate, done. 1 minute. Or maybe it's an omelet that folds neatly in half before your morning coffee finishes brewing. These moments aren't shortcuts. They're proof that cooking can fit inside the tiny cracks of our busy lives. And when you think about it, isn't there something kind of powerful about reclaiming those minutes, turning them into meals instead of wasted time? But food isn't only about speed. Sometimes it's about beauty. Picture a dish so carefully plated that you almost hesitate to touch it. Food plating techniques are an art form in themselves, the difference between a pile of ingredients and a masterpiece. Imagine a swirl of sauce painted across a plate like a brushstroke, a sprinkle of herbs falling like confetti, a perfectly placed slice of lemon shining like the sun. You don't need to see a chef's face to feel the artistry. The camera can linger on the gleam of a spoon, balancing a quenelle of ice cream, the contrast between vibrant vegetables and a dark ceramic plate, the geometry of colors aligning just right. Food becomes more than taste. It becomes visual poetry. And the beauty is, anyone can learn these tricks. Suddenly, your dinner for one feels like a 5-star experience. And when you finally take that bite, it's like eating a painting except way more delicious. And secretly, there's always that little thrill when someone says, "Wait, you made this at home?" Yes, you did. And you made it look unforgettable. Now, let's talk about myths. Because every kitchen has them. Somebody once told you searing meat locks and juices. Another swore that pasta water needs oil to keep noodles from sticking. And don't even get me started on the "you must rinse mushrooms" debate. Culinary myths are like urban legends. They spread quickly, they sound convincing, and they stick around for years. But here's the truth. Most of them are wrong. Searing meat, it builds flavor, but those juices still escape. Oil in pasta water? Waste of oil, just stir the noodles. And mushrooms? They can handle a quick rinse just fine. Debunking myths isn't about being a know-it-all. It's about freeing yourself from unnecessary rules that weigh down the joy of cooking. Imagine the liberation when you realize you don't have to soak beans overnight every single time. Or when you finally accept that a pinch of salt in your coffee actually enhances the flavor instead of ruining it. These myth-busting moments feel like tiny rebellions, and they remind us that the kitchen is not a place for rigid dogma, but a playground for creativity. Speaking of playgrounds, let's wander into the land of gadgets. Kitchen tool reviews are like toy reviews for grown-ups. Because honestly, who doesn't get excited about a clever gadget? That avocado slicer that saves you from mangling breakfast. The garlic press that turns cloves into paste faster than you can say, "Why do my hands smell like pizza toppings?" Or the air fryer, a device that somehow convinced us that crispy fries can also be guilt-free. The fun is not just in testing these tools, but in discovering which ones actually earn their space in your drawer. Some tools are game changers, like a sharp chef's knife that feels like an extension of your hand. Others, well, they're more like one-hit wonders, destined to live in the back of the cabinet. But reviewing them honestly, showing the wins and the fails, creates a kind of kitchen reality check we can all relate to. Because let's face it, we've all bought that gadget that promised to peel, chop, dice, and maybe do your taxes only to end up using it once and never again. But sometimes, gadgets aside, what we really want is the raw process itself. That's where time-lapse cooking comes in. Imagine a bubbling pot of stew, hours condensed into seconds. Vegetables shrink, sauces thicken, colors deepen. The transformation feels almost magical, like watching nature fast forward before your eyes. You start with raw, ordinary ingredients, and suddenly, without even realizing it, you're staring at a dish that could feed a family. It's like compressing the patience of slow cooking into a visual story you can't look away from. A loaf of bread rising, stretching, golden crust forming all in the blink of an eye. A tray of cookies spreading, lifting, crisping, until the chocolate glistens like jewels. Time-lapse doesn't just show food, it shows food becoming, which is a kind of quiet miracle that never gets old. And yet, as much as food can amaze us, sometimes it makes us wonder, what's the best version? Recipe comparisons tap into that curiosity. Is New York-style pizza really better than Chicago deep dish? Should brownies be fudgy or cakey? What happens when you make mac and cheese with cheddar versus Gruyere? Comparing recipes side by side is like holding a culinary debate, except everyone wins because you get to eat the evidence. The fun is in the contrast, the way small changes ripple into big differences. It's science, it's taste, it's preference, and it's endlessly fascinating. Plus, it sparks conversation. Everyone has an opinion on pancakes versus waffles, and the truth is, both have their charm. Recipe comparisons remind us that food isn't about absolutes. It's about exploring flavors and finding what speaks to you. But let's not forget the quieter side of cooking: sound. ASMR cooking videos are where the kitchen becomes an orchestra. The crunch of slicing carrots, the sizzle of onions hitting hot oil, the gentle bubbling of soup. Without a single word spoken, you're drawn into a sensory world that feels both calming and immersive. These sounds remind us that cooking isn't only visual, it's tactile, auditory, almost meditative. Listening to the crackle of bread breaking or the pop of popcorn feels like a lullaby for food lovers. And for a faceless channel, ASMR's gold, because it proves you don't need a personality on screen when the food itself can sing. Of course, food also has a way of celebrating the ingredients themselves. That's where ingredient spotlights shine. Think of a single tomato, plump, red, fresh from the vine. One ingredient, infinite possibilities. Sauce, salad, soup, sandwich, the list goes on. Or take garlic. Roasted until sweet, minced into marinades, blended into butter. Each spotlight is like a love letter to an ingredient, revealing its versatility and depth. Viewers walk away not just knowing how to cook with it, but appreciating it, almost as if they've met it for the first time. And there's something special about honoring the simple things that usually fade into the background. Because without salt, bread is bland. Without onions, soup feels empty. Ingredient spotlights remind us that even the smallest players can steal the show. But sometimes the kitchen isn't about reverence. It's about play. Cooking challenges bring that playful chaos, front and center. Can you make dinner with only 5 ingredients? Can you turn leftovers into something gourmet? What happens if you cook without a knife, or only use a single pot? These challenges aren't just fun, they're relatable. Everyone has faced the "what can I make with what's left in the fridge" dilemma. Turning it into a challenge reframes the frustration into a game. And the best part? Viewers get inspired to try it themselves, proving that creativity often comes when limitations force us to think differently. Animation adds yet another dimension. Animated recipe instructions can take something as ordinary as boiling pasta and make it feel whimsical. Imagine a bouncing onion showing you how to chop it, or a cartoon frying pan flipping an egg with flair. Animation strips away the intimidation and turns recipes into stories. Easy enough for kids to follow, but engaging enough for adults to enjoy. It makes food fun, lighthearted, approachable, exactly the kind of thing that keeps viewers hooked. Of course, behind every recipe and technique, there are the unglamorous truths, the behind-the-scenes kitchen tips. Things like how to keep herbs fresh longer, how to organize a pantry so you don't lose that bag of rice for 3 years, or the trick to cleaning a cast iron skillet without ruining it. These tips don't always make the headlines, but they make all the difference in real life. They're the small hacks that save time, reduce stress, and make the kitchen a more joyful place to be. Sharing them is like passing down secrets from one cook to another, building a bridge of experience and trust. And finally, let's talk about failure. Because no matter how polished the videos look, every cook has burned toast, undercooked pasta, or forgotten the salt. Recipe failures and fixes are where honesty meets humor. Showing the mistakes, then demonstrating how to fix them, takes away the shame and replaces it with resilience. Burned cookies? Scrape the bottoms and call them caramelized. Sauce too salty? Add a potato to absorb it. The kitchen isn't about perfection, it's about persistence. And when viewers see that even the experts mess up, they're reminded that mistakes are just part of the process. So there you have it. 12 different stories. 12 different ways to fall in love with cooking all over again. Speed, beauty, science, gadgets, patience, comparison, sound, celebration, play, imagination, wisdom, and resilience. Each one a reminder that food isn't just fuel. It's art, it's fun, it's human. And the best part? You don't need to see a face to feel it. The food speaks for itself. And in every chop, stir, sizzle, and bite, the story continues.